Hey there folks, I am Jeff, your tabletop technician here in the Dice Tower, and today I'm taking a very quick look at the newest expansion for Origins First Builders. This is Origins Ancient Wonders, which is not as big of a box as it might look like. Now this adds 2 mini modules to Origins, Wonders and Trials of the Builders. Now I'm not going to get into the rules of the base game because there's a lot of them and I don't really want to, but it is essentially a dice-based worker placement city building game by Board and Dice that features a board and some dice. Hey, gotta stick to your strengths, am I right? Origins is kinda your typical point salad efficiency puzzle Euro game. You'll use colored dice to take actions at these spaces on the board governed by motherships. Each space will let you take one action, but every once in a while you'll get to take both actions, and if you use a die of the matching color, you'll be able to take a bonus action. These actions will let you move up a number of tracks, claim additional dice, or add buildings into your city. That last action is the first one I'll focus on as it's the element of the game built upon by the Wonders expansion. In the base game, players add these building tiles to their cities in a simple grid pattern with room in between to place dice. Each of these buildings has an action that triggers when the building is built, and possibly again later in the game if it's part of a district, closed with a die of the matching color. And now there are Wonders, which kind of makes me wonder if there will ever be a Civilization game without Wonders. Anyways, the expansion comes with 8 of these, 5 of which will be chosen for each game. These sit above the 5 mothership slots on the main board, but start off the game locked. The first time a mothership pips up to the number 5 value, the corresponding Wonder tile is flipped to its unlocked side, and from that point on, any player who visits that mothership spot can spend gold to take that tile and reserve it, placing it in their play area but not directly into their city. Later on, when they take a build action, they can then spend 3 stone to build that Wonder into their city instead of taking one of the building tiles from the main board. All Wonders cost 3 stone to build, and these will take up a double-wide space in their city, horizontally or vertically. Wonders also have unique abilities that trigger whenever they're built into your city, but they also trigger all of the buildings that they touch when they are installed. Not only that, but the Wonders ability is triggered again every time you place a building adjacent to it in your city. Note, however, that players can only reserve and build 1 Wonder through the entire game. The next module in this box is Trials of the Builders. These 24 tiles replace the 4 endgame triggers of the base game and instead install a timer dictated by the number of tiles chosen between 4 and 6 to determine the overall length of the game. Now these are laid out across the bottom of the board, and the leftmost one is removed after being scored each round until there are none left. Now the current tile is scored by all players, so these simply add additional goals for players to work towards while possibly allowing for better control over the game's length. Now before my first game of Origins First Builders, I was aware of a litany of issues with the game, such as microscopic print on these building tiles that can pretty much only be read by the player sitting here, resources that are difficult to distinguish from each other, and lousy luck at the hand of having dice that are all lower values than the mothership rings. And if you're wondering, hey Jeff, does this expansion fix any of those issues? Well, let me tell you, no! Okay, we've got a handful of gold resource tokens with gray backgrounds instead of white ones, but other than that, despite the Wonders being twice the size as the regular building tiles, the text on them is still the same size and just as hard to read. The Wonders themselves are pretty neat. The actions on them feel powerful, and players will want to have them. But then again, they don't contribute to your district scoring since they're treated the same as a general gray tile. These are also quite difficult to get out into your city. You've got to wait until the wheels get triggered a few times. You got to reserve 1 for a gold. You got to then build it for 3 stone. And depending on the length of the game, you may only get to trigger this thing 1 or 2 times before the game ends. In addition, there's already a lot for players to manage in this game. You're already being tugged in a lot of different directions. And in my first play of this, I spent a lot of time getting a Wonder built and got clobbered by over 100 points. I should probably point out that my competitors didn't even bother to reserve 1. The Trials module is a bit debatable as to what it really adds to the game. Some of these can add huge boosts to player scores, like up to 20 points for each resource a player has, or they could give you 2 points if your highest blue die is a 1. A lot of games do this randomized round-to-end scoring. I'm thinking of Gaia Project or the last expansion to Project L. But in my experience, the problem with randomized objectives is that they don't always jive with the flow of a game, right? You can have a scoring objective early in the game for something that folks don't usually accomplish until later in the game. A lot of folks may walk away from this with just 0 points, but these could coerce a less experienced player into working towards something that ultimately hurts them in the long run. Maybe they bust their butts to get those 4 points and then find themselves just completely squashed throughout the rest of the game, and they get left in the dust. Maybe for Origins, having a set game length is fine, maybe not really necessary, but I think those scoring objectives might be something left for experienced players who really enjoy this game and are looking to get more out of it. And I think in general, that's my impression of the Ancient Wonders expansion. If you really like this game, this expansion adds little more of the same. You'll have no problem incorporating these modules into your playthroughs. But if you didn't really like this game, which I'll admit is the side of the coin I find myself on, this will do nothing to change your opinions. I will say that maybe my first impressions of this game didn't go that well, but there is some potential here, even if it is as dry as cafeteria chicken. I do hope to get some more plays in. Maybe I can find the wonder of this game myself. Cheers.
Spin, 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 all day long. Spin, 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 while I sing this song.